Well, I'm sitting here today just going to have a quick chat with Laurie Modde. She is the CEO of Outdoor New South Wales and ACT. Outdoor New South Wales and ACT is a non-governmental organisation. Welcome, Laurie, and thanks for your time.
No, thanks for having me, Greg.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about what Outdoors New South Wales and ACT does?
I would love to. Outdoors New South Wales and ACT is a peak body for all things that are outdoor activities that drive community health and wellbeing. So we are the facilitator, I suppose, to help attain opportunities through the activities that are done in the outdoors, as well as try to alleviate some of the issues that outdoor activities present, and empower and drive our businesses, organisations and activities to do better, and to make sure that a lot more people are healthier and have more fulfilled lives by being out in nature.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely physical and mental benefits there, isn't there?
Absolutely.
What are some of the you mentioned difficulties. What are some of the difficulties that you do need to overcome there?
So obviously, as we come out of COVID, there's quite a substantial amount of restrictions that we've got to navigate and help our businesses in navigating and providing advice and assistance in understanding the knowledge and information presented to them. That in itself has been a big job since I started in this role, because I started the day of lockdown in 2020. So I literally 23rd of March was my first day. But yeah, look, I think that's certainly been top of mind for everyone. But while we've been navigating that, and I'm very lucky that I've sort of come into this industry with a very good understanding of the industry, but from a side angle, and my experience is more in the tourism side of things, the economic development side of things. So I could come in with a bit of a fresh mind. And what I certainly witnessed was all of these underlying issues that were present while I was navigating the COVID situation with my team. So there is certain things like reputation. That is first and foremost, including, you know, the reputation of people on bikes and motorized bikes, that is. Yeah. And then there's, you know, infrastructure challenges with mountain bikes. And then there's pay and conditions issues with outdoor leaders. Then there's insurance issues with our businesses and maintaining the insurance and having sustainable practices for that. So look, there's lots of little different things. And I suppose what we do as an organisation is strategize to take hold of all of that and put in place mechanisms to help people get through them, jump those hoops, and come out the other side.
Sorry?
That's right. No, you're right.
I was just going to say, do you work with any government departments such as New South Wales Office of Sport and Rec?
Absolutely. So Office of Sport is a key partner of ours, actually a funding partner of Outdoors New South Wales and ACT. We also work with National Parks and Wildlife, who's a strategic member. We work with the ACT Sport and Rec, who's also a strategic member. And we work alongside all the government departments that are either landholders or have investment in our space. So people like Crown Lands, people like Department of Education, which has a great deal to do with our industry when it comes to outdoor education, and we provide a lot of the curriculum outcomes for some of the schools. So yeah, we work quite heavily with government, all levels too, not just state. We work with local government and looking at some of the plans of management in the leisure spaces that they manage, but also at federal, because we understand that as soon as we increase our profile at that federal level, that that will certainly benefit from there down, basically.
Yeah. You'll be able to sort of hopefully get a little bit more funding off the federal government and make these things a little bit, I guess.
Well, our challenges are no different to all other states. So, you know, we've got to collaborate and work through all of those challenges together. Yeah,
nice. I saw Outdoor New South Wales and ACT recently put out a survey that was asking a 3-minute survey. It was asking a few questions in regards to I guess how we can assist as being trail bike riders and completing the survey. What were the objectives of the survey, and what outcomes are you hoping to gain from the survey?
Yeah, brilliant. And firstly, may I say, I'm so pleased you saw the survey. We're trying to get it far and wide and make sure that we have everyone's content and understand, you know, the average perspective as well, but also the contribution. So a bit of background is within Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, we actually have empowered subcommittees in various areas that we know strategically we have some battles or some opportunities before us. We've got currently 4 of those. One is in the risk management side and certainly incident response. So if there's an outdoor incident, we have a committee that can respond to that and work with those people to make sure that, you know, they're okay, they're supported, but also they learn from it, and if anything needs changing, we help them do that. The second one is in the area of mountain bike trails, mountain biking as a whole, as an activity. And certainly, as I mentioned a little while ago, some of the challenges in trail maintenance and connecting the mountain bike communities is certainly what they're looking at. The other one is climate change, because needless to say, we're entering a period where we're seeing a lot more severe weather, and what can we do from a mitigation but also an adaptation perspective when it comes to climate change in the outdoors. And then the fourth one is our trail bike subcommittee. Yep. Now, they were formed with our partners MCC to look at how we can navigate some of the challenges to get more people participating, and also work with landowners and other activities to get a mutual ground of opportunity for everyone.
Yep.
Part of that committee, sorry, go on.
So I was just going to say, will the landowners, would that include state forests, national parks, or just private landowners, or a combination of everything?
Yes, absolute combination, and we're lucky that we have Forestry New South Wales on this committee with us.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, so they're part of this conversation, and they are engaged in this. They understand some of the challenges they're having. They understand the challenges that industry are having. So we're hoping to meet right in the middle and work together on some of the solutions. But one of the big things the subcommittee really wanted to understand, and coming from my economic development background and my tourism background, I know the economic worth of activities like this, but we couldn't tangibilize that. So this survey is primarily driven to get that data.
Yeah, okay.
It's to understand what happens in the trail bike communities and how they contribute to local and regional townships. This is an economic investment into some of these towns.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of them don't understand, the value of it. So, sort of articulating and tangibilizing that is really key for our future activities and work in the space.
Yeah, from my perspective, I run, I guess you'd call them private events, which are all held on private properties. And we'll have 300 to 330 riders turn up to an event. For example, we run an event up at Tenterfield, and we will have riders from all over Australia, from Cairns, Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, all converge on this one town and then off to the private property. But I haven't measured the economic benefit of it yet, but it would have to run into well over $1 million just for the one event. Everybody's buying bikes, training, fuel, food, all the travel. And that's something I do plan to do, so I can get my own statistics. But I'd imagine recreational riding is vastly bigger than any form of racing.
Yes, absolutely. And you're dead right there, Greg, because I think, one thing that I spent a lot of my time in my tourism days saying to petrol stations and to Woolworths supermarkets, you are in the business of tourism. Yeah. And, understanding that what they're getting from the visitors is sometimes a lot more than what they're getting from the locals. So, making sure that they're seeing that, participating in that, and thus supplying that content for us to be able to use. But yes, you're right, the economic development of all of our outdoor activities is understated, and that's what we hope to achieve with this outcome.
It'll be interesting to find out those statistics once they are available. I know we get contacted, or I get contacted by the local supermarkets, the local camping stores, say, hey, please let us know when it's on next so we can stock up, because people come in and try and buy stuff and we sold out. So the benefit is absolutely amazing. I guess from that perspective, my interest in the recreational side is long term, and it's personal. I guess I've spoken with Forestry New South Wales previously in regards to running events in forest in New South Wales, and that really proved, from my perspective, to be probably almost impossible unless you're just using gazetted roads. Which is not something where that's not my target audience. My target audience is not sort of the big adventure bike. It's more of a closed circuit, narrow single track with speeds are lower and far less risk of injury. Is that something that will be taken into consideration for the future, rather than just riding gazetted roads, which quite honestly I think are boring.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting you bring this up, because what the subcommittee are doing is providing a discussion paper around some of these challenges, so that we can understand, you know, what success is going to look like. And that goes with, you know, the opportunities for people that I love the analogy. Well, it's not an analogy, it's probably a circumstance, but, you know, to put it into reality, when a kid, and I had one myself that loved his motorbike, but he, you know, when getting that motorbike, it's like, yeah, I've got my motorbike. Now, where do I ride it? You know, there's no sort of stage process that we can engage these young kids into this activity and stage them through where that could lead them. Yeah, leisure or work or whatever. But yeah, I think what you've just said is right across the sector in various areas. So trying to get a good landscape picture, and then what success looks like as part of this project.
Yeah, and that is, you bring a valid point up about the little kids and being in the same scenario. I mean, taking my son out for riding, for example, there are ride parks available. There are sort of sanctioned private tracks. But if you've got just a father and a son, the son might be 3 or 4 years old, he's intimidated by other riders. Legally, you can't go and ride in a state forest, even though you can be out there all day and not see anybody. Legally, you're not doing the right thing. But it's a nice, quiet environment where you can just take your time and not be pressured by any other riders around you. So that's something I'd like to see ultimately develop and have areas open up. Is recreational rego or licensing for children something you're looking at?
Yes, absolutely. Look, there's certainly a number of challenges on that front, but it is on our radar. And actually, would you believe that was one of the reasons why we got together as a subcommittee, because that issue was brought to us. We do have a fabulous participant on our subcommittee who was involved in the Victorian model and instigating that. So bringing his skill and experience to the subcommittee has been awesome. Our legislation in New South Wales is completely different. Yeah. So we have a lot of challenges to navigate. We're just saying to the government, we need rego because it has a lot of implications on the insurance side and various others. So again, that discussion paper that we're compiling will certainly inform a lot of that and enable us to have the right discussions with the right people. And needless to say, yes, it's a big journey to get something like that up, but we've started it. We've started that journey.
Yeah, excellent. I know we're all envious in New South Wales of rego and also the TAC insurance they have down in Victoria, whereas a rider down in Victoria can come off and break a leg and they're covered, and it also covers some of their wages, I believe. Big difference to New South Wales, and we're paying a huge amount more for registration too. Yeah.
That's right, exactly. So some of the challenges, and look, as I say, we need the full picture, the full outlook, and then we can see what the future could look like and work our way towards that.
Have you had many responses from the survey that you've put out?
Yeah, look, I'd love more, which is great if you can promote it for us. We've got about 500, but we would love to see over that 1,000 mark to get a good sample size. We know it's a big activity. We know there's a lot of participants in it. And the more people that reply to this, the more genuine that data is.
I'll put that out through my social media avenues, and I'll also ask my sponsors of Grassroots Enduro. They could also share it and try and get more people to respond to it that way, and hopefully you can get a clearer picture of what's going on there.
Thank you.
I noticed, that's my pleasure. And I noticed on the website, Outdoor New South Wales and ACT, can businesses organise and promote through you guys?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a membership structure. So if anyone wants to be part of our network, you get information from a capacity building side of things, but also be promoted as an activity or an organisation. Yes, we have some structures there that can help you with that. So not a problem at all.
Okay, no, that's good. All right, a question you probably don't know, won't be able to answer is time frame for any of this? Years, months, or?
I'd love to say it's not years, but look, it's hard to say because there's a lot of legislation change that probably needs to occur, and that doesn't happen overnight. But we've got all of the right mix to make these things happen. We've got some great advocates in government on our that understand what needs to be done. But needless to say, look, we're starting our journey, and and yeah, it's hard to put a time frame on it because of that reason.
No, I understand these things do take a lot of time, and yeah, and I guess it's just it's a plethora of red tape you've got to deal with.
Yeah, that's right. But at least I can say that, you know, as we're going through the journey, we'll have some wins along the way that we'll make sure that we keep the industry and the sector totally informed about. And yeah, hopefully as we go, there's going to be little things along the way.
Yeah, nice one. How's COVID affected Outdoors New South Wales and ACT?
Oh, look, it's been challenging, needless to say. From an industry side of things, we were a $7.7 billion industry in New South Wales and the ACT. That was in 2018. Who would have thought that by March 2020, it'd be zero? And then obviously we got somewhat back to business in late 2020 and early 21, which we saw some great growth and some great activity, and then back to zero in June and have been since. With New South Wales, where obviously, as you know, we're sort of coming out of the lockdown and back into some sort of business and normality. All of our operators can actually start operating from the 80%. The challenge is a lot of our clients are being held back from being part of that. And I say that because half of our industry relies on the education sector.
Right.
So we have outdoor education, Duke of Edinburgh, school camps, a lot of different outdoor education that our schools are our clients. And at this point in time, we do not have a roadmap for our schools in New South Wales and when they are going to allow their kids to return to camp. Ironically, most of the time they're outdoors, which is the safest place they can be. Yeah. The smallest amount of time which they're spent in an accommodation facility is less of a risk than what is on our public transport system to and from their normal school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So getting the government to see that at the moment is a little bit of a challenge, and we desperately need to get our kids back out there because their mental health is struggling. As we know, they've been locked up and doing Zoom after Zoom after Zoom, and we are now the biggest users of screens worldwide in Australia, which has a huge consequence on kids' mental health.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
need to start getting some of those skills back.
Well, fingers crossed for 2022 and beyond. And I'm in the same boat as you. We held our first event up at Tenterfield in March 2020. I had people turning up to the event saying, "Is it still running?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Of course it's still running," because I was at a mobile phone reception, and then I found out, you know, events had all been cancelled. So yeah, it's been a tough road since then, but we'll just keep chipping away. And so look,
the future's bright. Yeah, the future's bright for our industry and our activities. I think if anything, COVID has taught all of us is that the indoors is not made for us all the time. And
100% agree. Yeah, I think we're all going slightly batty, but the future is good for 2022. And look, if I can assist you guys in any way, stay in touch and we'll proceed forward and make the future a little bit better for the kids.
Incredible, Greg. Thank you so much for your help, your assistance and support.
No, that's all right. Thank you for your time, Laurie. And yeah, we'll catch up soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.